Welcome, everyone, to another Horror Corner. Hello, everyone. My name is JPOOL, and once again, I'm joined by my co host, LC.
Hello, everybody. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays, and we just got through Christmas, so we're recording this after Christmas. Originally supposed to be before, but things came up, the holidays, family, and buying presents and stuff, and when we're not able to, get this out in time. Luckily, we did Krampus, so that's close, right? That's on the list of
Yeah,
Christmas films to watch.
yeah, we did pretty good. I think I sent you over a list of top holiday horror films, and we were just checking them off organically without even looking at the list. So feeling pretty good about our watch list this year.
Oh yeah, definitely. And this one is pretty much of a banger. This is Silent Night, Evil Night, right? Oh wait a minute,
For
no,
some,
no, we're gonna be talking about Black Christmas, the original title, not
right?
the title that NBC had in mind.
The Canada title.
Yes. Well, like I said, it was about to be, I believe, broadcast on NBC, and they had changed the title two or three times, I think. And then they decided not to air
Yeah,
it because they're like, the Ted Bundy murders just happened. They're like, this is getting a little too close.
I that was one of the things in watching this again. I hadn't seen this movie in quite a while, and for the first time, I started looking up that correlation and seeing, did he ever say that he saw these? There's nothing recorded, we'll say, about him ever admitting to watching it, but the timing is pretty interesting for sure. And I'm sure everybody watching the movie was feeling that as well when it first came out. So,
Oh, yeah, definitely. This movie came out in October 11th, 1974. Um, and originally in Canada. It was a Canadian film. And it was really a sort of a slow start for here in America. It didn't really, take off until later on and really become a cult classic afterwards. And for good reason, too, because of the inspiration for movies later on. And we'll talk about that a little
oh,
later in
yeah.
the review. So, this movie starts off with, the view of a killer. So we get this view of a house, a sorority house, through the killer's eyes, and he sneaks up, to the top of the attic in the sorority house, and is basically stalking all the women there.
Yeah. I I can't remember. I'm sure I don't know. I'm not exactly sure if it was, but it's probably the earliest movie that I can recall, at least, that has that perspective. The killer, from the killer's perspective, and not to spoil it too far up front, but that maintaining that perspective throughout the entire movie when it comes to the killer, I thought was um, pretty unique to this film, and I think it just kind of adds to the overall ending of the film. You never really know what's going on.
Exactly, and a lot of horror films after this usually reveal the killer either in the end or maybe even in the sequel. But here, it's sort of left as sort of a mystery, so it'd be a little bit of a spoiler. I'm not going to say too much, but I'll just
Yeah.
say that the killer isn't really revealed that much. There's like maybe
No.
a little bit of, you know, a light that shines on their face for a second, and then the rest is shadowed out.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, you get the
basically,
eyeball. You
you
got the
get the
one.
eye. You get sort of like but you don't really get to see who exactly the killer is.
Hmm.
And I guess the director didn't consider this film to be a slasher horror. The director Bob Clark, he considered it more as a psychological like horror than a slasher.
Yeah, it kind of feels like it. I when he was making it, I wonder if the term slasher really was even widely out there. This feels like it's, the first, if not among the very first of those movies. So, him going into it, making the movie very, thriller, unique perspectives, very, mysterious going through the movie. And then all of the inspiration that followed after this film, this might be, is dare I say, the birth of the modern slasher.
Oh yeah, I some people consider the what was it, Halloween to be sort of the progenitor of modern day slasher films, slasher tropes. But that was released in 1978. This film was released in 1974. And if you look throughout the film, there are a lot of horror tropes that you can recognize in so many other films through the 80s, the 90s, and even today in the 2020s.
Right.
And we're like, yes, but we remember them back in Halloween. But go
Hmm.
back 4 years before that, we have Black Christmas.
Right. Now, I'm sure, because I know we were both trying to find some interesting facts, I'm sure you found the most interesting fact in your readings that relate to Halloween in this movie.
Oh yeah, I found a bunch. I found like
That's
a
so
dozen.
cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Shall
I'll let you
I?
get through some. I'll let you get through some. Yeah.
Yeah, well, the one that is the coolest to me was, and I was sharing this with just about everybody that would listen to me over the last week. Um, the coolest sort of connection to the Halloween franchise for this is that the director was speaking with a young John Carpenter about the movie, who took a lot of interest in the film and was trying to talk about doing some sort of a sequel. And the director said, "Yeah, not really interested in it, but if I did do it, obviously this killer is going to get caught at some point. So I'd probably start the movie on Halloween night after he gets out of an asylum."
Oh yeah.
And John said, "Thank you very much."
Well, yeah, because those two movies take place, during a holiday, and this one takes place near Christmas, and the other one, of course, takes place Halloween.
Yeah, it's kind of the same fun, connection with what we were talking about with Trick or Treat and Krampus. It's, oh, the holiday movies, nothing like it. Just keep finding reasons to give us something to watch when everybody else is curled up with hot cocoa and ready for a sappy rom com with some Christmas tree decor in the background.
Oh yeah, definitely. We get to actually meet a cool character in here, played by none other than Olivia Hussey. She was at the time. I believe she was more well known as playing Juliet in the Romeo and Juliet film, a very young Juliet. So, well, I forgot how old she was. She was pretty young around this time. She's been in some other things later on too. She was in the It TV series. She was in the early '90s. She was the mother of, was it Norman Bates? I think it was in Psycho 4. It was 3 or
Oh, I didn't
4.
know that.
Yeah. But here we get a really young Olivia Hussey. Rest in peace. She passed away. I think she passed away. She passed away. She passed away last year, December 27th. So right after Christmas last year.
Oh.
At 73. I think it was complications, breast cancer, I think it was. And here, she was a beauty. Like,
23 ish. Sorry,
yeah.
doing math. Yeah, she was stunning.
Her face, her eyes, just
Hmm.
everything about her. But also, I think one of the attractive things, even the director considered, was her voice. Like, she
Yeah.
had a very, like, calming, British accent.
Mm-hmm. Very
Not
unique
hard,
sounding. Mm-hmm.
very unique, almost very innocent like. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's perfect for like a Juliet to be in a
Yeah.
play because it
Mm-hmm.
sounds so young but also sounds so innocent and very soft. So she's very soft
Mm-hmm.
spoken. And we get a scene where she answers the phone in the house, and then there's this
Worst.
yeah, apparently there's this like pervert that has been calling sorority houses all over the place, including this, the house, and makes the weirdest sounds, which we find out later in like commentary that it was actually like three different people doing the voices, including the director, doing sound effect
Yeah.
voices.
He doesn't hold back either. I mean, these are I I don't know how many people out there have had a run-in with some weirdo on the other end of a telephone line, aside from someone trying to extend your car warranty. But this is he just is absolutely disgusting and feels very 70s, 80s kind of, awful situation. But a total creep. And I love how, you it it's terrible what he's saying, but at the same time, this group of women at the sorority, they're disturbed by it, but they're also kind of poking fun, laughing a little bit at it. So you can tell that yes, it's been happening. Are they super worried about it? No.
No, especially was it Margot Kidder's character?
Yeah, Lois Lane, she was.
Yeah, Barbara or Barb.
Hmm.
Oh no, not another Barb. Stranger Things lore.
Yeah.
So we, basically she takes the phone and is listening to it, and basically technically threatens him because
Hmm.
tells him to go off and do it to someone else because she's had enough with his bullshit,
Hmm.
and he threatens to kill her, or that
Yeah.
all of them in general. The question I have is, the killer's already in the house. There's
Right.
no such thing as cell phones. And there's no
Right.
way that he's tapped into the lines by now. How is he calling when he's in the
You
attic?
know, it's a really good question. This has to be something though, and I hadn't thought about it until you just brought it up, but because this and I don't recall when a stranger calls came out. When that was the name of it, right? The killer's coming
Yeah.
from inside the house, or the calls coming. Uh, it happened multiple times in early movies, so there must have been some sort of technology gap or something that you could call your own number. But I mean, in this movie too, we see something that many of us, I don't think, have ever or will ever see in our lives anywhere else, which is the inside of what a phone room used to look like once upon a time, which
Yep.
is super crazy. I kind of rewound and watched that part multiple times just to take it in and see if I could understand what I'm seeing. But there must have been back in those days some way that you could just dial your own line and get it to ring. That or a lack of imagination in a lot of early horror films.
Remember the rotary phones where you
Oh yeah.
I
Mm-hmm.
used to have one. So
Oh, did you?
yeah, back in
Yeah.
the day,
Mm-hmm.
showing my
Did you
age.
have one of the like where you pick up the receiver from the little hook
No, I
and
didn't have that one. I didn't have that one.
you're like, no, slow down. Yeah, I'm wondering.
I
I'm
wasn't
gonna.
there when the Titanic sunk, so I wasn't.
You weren't.
No.
Aw. Yeah, so I'm actually going to look it up real quick and see how you can do that. Do you know what year When a Stranger Calls came out?
Let's see. When a strange, I would have to look that one up too. Uh,
79, I think, if I got that right. There's so many remakes
yes.
of all of
Yeah,
these
and then the
movies.
remake was 2006.
Hmm. So yeah, we've got a killer in the attic.
So that would be 5 years later after this film came
Hmm.
out. The technology would have advanced at least 5 years long more than this.
So much in the 70s. So
Oh
much
yeah.
technology.
Oh yeah. But yeah, it's just a question I had, like watching the film again and going, huh, I didn't really think about it at the time, but from the killer's perspective, he's still in the attic. He seems to be he's pretty isolated, and yet
Okay.
he's calling, which is interesting because to call your own line, you would have to be able to transfer through an operator at the time, because I think operators, um, even Margot Kidder was asking about, to the operator because she couldn't hear her mom correct over the phone when she
Mm-hmm.
got a phone call, and so she had to call the operator and ask them to clear up the phone call, which back then I think they still had to automatically
Patch in.
patch in different plugs and everything. Today it's all computer automated, so you don't
Thank
need that.
goodness. Thank
But
goodness.
yeah, so if you ever seen back in, like, what was it, the 40s or the 50s,
Mm-hmm.
how they used to patch in lines, and you had like this row of women, and this wall of you know cords and you know
Roller
outlets and
skates.
stuff. Yeah, it was insane. Like, I would
Mm-hmm.
get so confused on like what lines. I put this line down here. Which one goes to which? This goes to Albuquerque. This one goes to Phoenix. I have no idea.
I feel like they had a really good scene. I don't know if you've seen the movie. I think it's called The Changeling with Angelina Jolie, which is
Mm-hmm.
based on a true story. I
Yeah.
think that was her character, which was based on a true story. Her career was doing something like that, if I remember correctly. But yeah, definitely, that would take some training to get that right. Otherwise, you'd be patching all sorts of things strangely. I remember too back in the early 90s from time to time. I don't know if this ever happened to you where you could accidentally cross your wires with someone else's house.
Yes.
So if I would talk to some of my friends, often, and I'd pick up the phone sometimes and I could hear their family on a phone call with someone else. Strange. So according to our good friend Gemini, in the 1970s, you could call your own home line by dialing your own number, sometimes with a prefix, to make the phone ring, or using an intercom system. So, yeah, just pick up the phone and call your own phone number, which is nuts. The days before 911.
And caller ID.
And caller ID.
Back in the day, it would be like the guy from Scream going, "Do you like scary movies? I know who this is. I could see your phone
Yeah,
number."
right. Come on,
Okay.
Jeff.
You should have put it on private.
Mm,
So we get one of the I guess sorority girls. She gets sort of flustered and worried about what was being said on that phone call, because the rest of the sorority girls, they're all surrounding Margot Kidder's character after she's listening in on the perverted phone call uh, by someone on the phone that's sort of mumbling. His name is Billy.
yeah.
And so this girl Claire, she goes back up to her room to pack because she's, I guess, leaving for the holidays, going back home.
Or
But
attempting to.
she never will get there
Yeah, that's
because of a commercial for Saran wrap.
because of dry cleaning. Dry cleaning gets us all in the end.
So she gets asphyxiated.
Hmm.
An interesting like scene too, because we get the view from the killer's side, so we don't get to see the killer. We just get what he sees, like a POV version of it. And this is early on, before a lot of other slasher films had even remotely even thought of doing something like this.
Yeah. Yeah, you get a little bit of what you get that perspective, so you know where the killer is in the closet behind the dry cleaning. And then you get, room view, and then it pans back over to the closet, and you're now, as an audience member, something's going on, so you're deeply trying to look into this closet. I think it just makes the experience, the way that they did those cutaway shots like that, so much more intriguing, because you're playing detective. You're trying, well, wait a minute, what was that? I know someone's in there. I don't know. It makes you feel more a part of the movie instead of just a bystander watching it.
Exactly, exactly. I'm gonna poke a hole into the film right now.
Poke.
Poke a hole in there. So
Mm-hmm.
after Claire gets killed, he manages to go back up to the attic, drag her body up there without anybody else hearing it, and he's gonna have to do it with one hand. Because you can't just take a body up with you
Oh
and then pull yourself. Because
yeah.
it's a ladder, so you have to
Yeah,
go
it's a ladder
up.
situation.
Yeah, well, and it's not like your regular ladder, but you have to hold on, and you would have to hold
Mm-hmm.
on to the body. So I would say Claire would probably be in the area of maybe a buck 15, a buck 20, maybe less than that, depending on her size. At most, a buck 15.
Yeah, the 70s probably 110,
It,
105, but
yeah,
still. That's
but
yeah,
still,
that I hadn't thought of that. That's a really good point. That's
uh, unless he's putting her body completely on her shoulders, that space he has to go up to the attic wouldn't exactly fit for her, even folded like this. She would have
hmm
to go straight up into it. That's a little like nitpick. Like, is it supernatural? Is it like I don't know because all you see is the door shut, to the attic, and you're like
maybe
that
he
was
put her
really quiet.
maybe it was the 70s and they hadn't really invented, the cheap plastic that they have now. So it was a sturdier plastic dry cleaning bag. And he just put her in that and like Santa flipped her over his shoulder. No, probably still not. Yeah, good
that
call. Good call out
that's
for
pretty
sure.
heavy. That's a pretty heavy bag. That's still over 100 pounds.
That's a really good call out. I hadn't even thought about it when I was watching the movie, but good point. And maybe therein lies the beauty of those different perspectives of filming because you also easily distract the viewer. Well, some of the viewers, particularly one on this podcast, but not the other.
Well, it's just me because I like to see where a killer, how they did something, how they got certain bodies, certain places. There's explanations of like they hit him in the floors, they hit him in the walls, and then they act like the victim because they kind of were. But I'm doing a whole like Soho in the type of film.
Well, help.
I should review that one. That's actually an interesting horror film.
Which movie?
Uh, what was that?
One Night in Soho.
Yeah, One
Is
Night in
that?
Soho. Yeah,
Yeah, that's a great. I only saw that once, but I wouldn't mind watching it again.
yeah. Originally, I thought it was like a mystery. I didn't expect it to become a
Mm-hmm.
horror. Like, whoa,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah, a lot of twists and turns there. Very
definitely.
kind of Twin Peaksy a little bit. Um, Maybe it helped that they didn't. It still doesn't explain getting her up into the attic because despite the noise levels, it's going to be quite a time lifting that load. But maybe it helps that a good portion of the sorority members were all drunk.
Yeah. It might help, and they have having loud music on as well. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but even
Mm-hmm.
around that time, there would be like girls going up and down the halls. They wouldn't just be just in stationed in one room or two.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, at least the parties I've been to, especially the
In the
college
sorority
parties I've been
houses.
to, it's just like they're filled with people. Mainly people just trying to find a
Mm-hmm.
room to sleep with each other.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just a
Empty
trope. It's an
attic.
actual thing.
Nope, nope, nope. That would have been occupied for sure.
Anybody that's been to an ASU party knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah, we I call back. Definitely been to a frat party more recently than I would like to admit.
But yeah, so definitely that house would be complete, and we do see a couple in there that are
hmm
just wandering around the halls of the house.
Yeah,
Don't know how they didn't run into this guy because he's just like sitting at the top of the staircase. I'm like, you're in clear view of everyone. How has
yeah,
nobody asked you, hello, who are you? I didn't see you come in.
exactly, exactly. Well, the house mother, I don't think would have caught on because she, of all the people, was finding actually, now that I say it, the house mother was so damn determined to find any bottle of liquor in the house. I'm wondering how she didn't check the attic just to find a bottle of liquor.
I mean, did she have like a bottle of liquor stored in stocked away in a book?
Yeah, in a book, in
In
a
a book.
toilet tank, in a closet, under she everywhere you turn, she was opening up some cupboard or something to pull out another bottle of sherry, which is
It's
another
interesting.
great callback to
Yeah,
the 70s.
yeah, definitely. It's like,
Sherry.
wow, you cut a perfect like formed bottle shape into your book.
Hmm.
It's like
Of the
no,
bottle of sherry.
better share. Nobody will ever find this because nobody reads these
Mm.
books. I'm like, okay.
Right, it's a sorority. Nobody reads. My daughter's in a sorority, so I'll
Hopefully
tell
she
her not to
reads.
watch this one.
Hopefully she reads. But yeah, it's really interesting uh seeing sort of like the tropes in here, like
Hmm.
the slasher tropes that will later become just common practice. Even with movies like Scream, which are supposed to be like a parody of all these
Right.
slasher tropes. It's a parody in itself, but it then also becomes a classic, which is kind of funny. I don't think at the time when they were making that movie, they would be like, "Oh, we would become a classic." Originally, we're just parodying everything that happened before.
Hmm. Hmm.
But here we have like not to say bumbling police, but they're not very good at investigating police in this town whatsoever. They miss a lot, or they just don't care.
Yeah, we have a gosh, such a good actor, but I'm watching him in this movie, and I'm like, is this gent typecast as
John Saxon,
a?
right?
Yeah,
Yes.
John. I'm like, wait a minute, that's the cop dad from Nightmare on Elm Street. You got a good cop face.
Oh yeah. Originally, that wasn't even going to be his. That he wasn't even going to be in the role. But the
Okay.
original actor, I forgot the original actor's name, that was going to be in there. Um, the director decided not to use him because apparently he had Alzheimer's,
Okay.
and he was like, "I'm just going to let this guy, have have some rest." And
Hmm.
for people with Alzheimer's dementia, especially if they're actors, like AKA Bruce Willis,
Yeah.
there are times when you just don't remember your lines, or you'll just fade off
Hmm.
into like, oh, like I remember Bruce Willis had to have like an earpiece, an earwig type of piece in his ear
Hmm.
to feed him lines. So sometimes he would forget stuff in the script. They didn't know
Wow.
why. Before
Yeah.
his original diagnosis, he thought it was less like aphasia or something to that effect.
Hmm.
But he
That
couldn't
makes
remember
sense.
his lines, and so they would feed him his lines. So it wasn't very like an emotional like impact of his of his acting. People was like, man, that's just he's not really acting very well, is he? Well, he's just being fed his lines because he can't remember them. But the director here basically wanted to get somebody else that could do it and let that other actor sort of rest. And so he picked John Saxon. Years later, he becomes another what was it, detective or officer for
Hmm.
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah,
And
dad,
here,
right? Wasn't he
yeah,
Nancy's dad? Hmm.
I believe so. Hold on a second. Yeah, and then here he plays Lieutenant Kenneth Fuller.
Yeah.
Seems to be
Yeah.
only somewhat competent officer.
Yeah, there's him, there's the officer that gets one pulled over on him. And then there's the other officer who just laughs all the time about
Yes.
everything. Kindred spirit for me. Yeah, but he at least is on it a little bit more throughout the movie. Yeah, not the best police force to handle something of this nature.
No, I mean if they just looked up at that top window, they would
Yeah,
see we figured the case out. We know
mm-hmm,
where the body is. And like,
mm-hmm,
yes, the body was literally staring at you the whole time.
yeah, yeah,
And not only that, it's lit up. So it's not like it's in the dark. It's like it's on
Yeah,
display.
illuminated.
Yeah.
I kind of looked at that a few times because it's, sort of the topmost window. So is everybody so distracted by these lovely Christmas lights that they're not, looking up into that very tip top window and seeing the young girl with a plastic wrap over her face? Maybe, maybe not. The holidays.
It's the holidays. You're just like, oh wow, it looks like a decoration of a asphyxiated woman with a candle
Mm.
at the
With a
window.
kid.
Wait a minute, is
With a
that's not a
candle.
Christmas decoration?
Well, it depends on what neighborhood you live in.
This is true. This is true. I have some neighbors that have decorated their Halloween decorations with
Hmm.
Christmas stuff because they.
That's what we have. Not our house, but in our neighborhood. We've got a Stranger Things house in our neighborhood. So, but, this was the 70s. People, I don't think we're quite that cool yet.
Yeah, I actually have not too far away from here. I consider it still my neighborhood, but sort of like
Mm.
a few blocks away. It's this Nightmare Before Elm Street house, and
Oh,
they
wow.
have and they basically it's actually been featured like in New Times and other things
Oh, cool.
like every single year. So
Hmm.
their whole two-story house and their front yard and everything is decked out with Nightmare on Elm Street uh, decorations. A lot of them they actually make themselves, and then
Awesome.
for Christmas they change it up just a little bit so it's more Christmassy.
But still Nightmare on
So
Elm Street.
it's just basically yes, not Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah. Oh, Nightmare
Yeah,
Before Christmas. Oh, I see. I'm sorry. I thought you were saying Nightmare Before. Okay.
I might have said that. I don't know. That'd
It's
be
so
interesting
funny.
though.
Well, funny enough, not to squirrel hunt too much, but I was in the grocery store the other day, and all the employees in the grocery store were wearing holiday sweaters and, ugly Christmas sweaters, getting into the spirit. And there was one guy who was just straight up wearing a Nightmare on Elm Street, Freddy Krueger, like the same colors. I'm like, okay,
Was he wearing a fedora?
no,
That would have been
just the
funny. That
sweater.
would have been
I
funny.
I was wondering if he must know. He must know. I decided not to engage.
There's some interesting kills in here. We
Mhm.
get the den mother. What's her name? The den mother's name. Hold on a second.
She's a great character too.
Yeah. What was her name? I forgot again her name.
She brings a lot of levity to the movie for sure,
Oh,
like we were talking about.
McHenry. Was it Mrs.
Yeah,
McHenry?
Mrs.
Yeah, yeah,
McHenry.
yeah. So she ends up like discovering Claire's body. Um, I don't know what she was looking at. She's just looking around the den. It's like she's by the window.
Yeah.
It's right by the. It's not hard to miss. It's the only window
Hmm.
in that attic. And she discovers her, and then she gets hooked
Literally.
on phonics. She gets hooked on phonics. An
She
interesting
gets
scene too because it's not super violent. It's more of like you see her feet, dangle and wiggle, and hear screams and everything.
Hmm.
So that could definitely be shown like on television late at night because it
Yeah.
wasn't super bloody or anything else to that effect. You're more thinking is psychologically like you're hearing, gross crunching noises and squishy noises and screams,
Hmm.
and then she gets pulled up, into the attic even further.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like most of the kills in this movie were they're done in such a way that it doesn't feel exceedingly graphic. There's,
Hmm.
one in particular that is a little bit more, well, a lot more violent, but it's still a lot of pan away and, not such a direct shot of what's going on so that yeah, feels earlier horror movies from that perspective, not, early 80s to late 80s slashers where it's just, how can we make this look 10 times more terrible and disgusting?
Yeah, here it's more like fill in the blank. Like
Hmm.
what's happening. Let's
Hmm.
see if your mind can take you to the worse places. You know, we'll show you the result a little bit, but it's more of like at the time you hear things, you hear things and see things in the shadows, but they don't show you the
Yeah.
whole picture.
Yeah. Well, and I think the acting, was pretty good in this movie. It's the portrayals of these kills that are carried out. You can, I mean, it's the screaming's pretty blood curdling. It doesn't feel trite or um, overly done. So I think the nuance of the way that the shots are, it actually probably lends more to the movie, along with some great screams and not too gory graphics. It leaves a little bit more to the imagination, which is sometimes scarier.
Oh yeah, definitely. When I talk about some of my favorite, like uh, scenes in horror, I like to talk about like with like Alien. You don't see the alien. I mean, you see him as popping out of the chest and everything, and running across the table and escaping. But you don't see him anytime after that until close to the end of the film. So you see shadows, you see things coming out, you see people getting grabbed and killed, but you don't really get to see the alien until the very end of the film.
Mm-hmm.
And in here, you barely get to
You
see the
never get to see
killer.
the alien.
Yeah, you don't even know who he is. I mean,
Well,
we think we know who he is because there are some suspicions on a certain character in here
mhm.
that seems to be in sort of relation with Jess's character played by Olivia Hussey.
Mhm. Yeah, that whole notion of, what's scarier is what you don't see. That's a scarier feeling that which I talked about earlier. The most perspective that you get of the killer is kind of this eyeball scene in the movie, and that I watched that a couple of times over again in this latest watching of this movie because it really is a very scary moment in the film. From the build up and everything that's happening in this perspective that this is obviously a very deranged human being. And that's some great eyeball acting, but there's something in the way that they shoot that particular scene. It's brief, but it's really terrifying.
Oh yeah, definitely. When you don't know what's chasing you, that's the most frightening. Or in a general sense, when something is chasing you and everybody doesn't believe you, that's even
Right,
worse.
right.
It's like I've
Mhm.
seen it kill other people. What are you saying? You can't see it?
Mhm. Which is kind of how, at some point it's starting to feel that way for Jess. She's starting to feel very uncertain, and people are missing, and there's sort of a secondary plot that goes on where a young girl is also brutalized and murdered in the movie, which feels unrelated. Did you feel the same way? That was, not our killer that's hiding in the attic, but potentially another killer?
It could have
Or is he
possibly,
just,
yeah.
yeah, that good? He's all over the place. Um, but yeah, as the tension continues to mount, you can see that anxiety building in her character. She does a really good job, I feel like, with that buildup, and she, as you mentioned, has other interpersonal things going on as well, which I'm sure is not making for a unstressful holiday season for her.
Oh
um
yeah.
but yeah,
She finds out she's pregnant.
mhm. Yeah, that which the 70s of it all. This is a really kind of intense movie from that perspective as well. Got a lot of current day conversation going on in this movie about what's right and what's wrong, and different people making different decisions. So um, yeah, that kind of adds a whole extra layer, I think, of tension into the movie as well.
Oh yeah, definitely, and especially like I said, when there is a character in here that everybody thinks is guilty of all of this, and it's in relation, to Jess. I think even if I was the detective, I would be looking also at Jess, going like, "There's something interesting. Like all your friends are getting killed around
Right.
you. Could it be you? I don't know.
There's the twist.
There's the
There's the
twist.
twist.
She was
If
the
that
killer the whole
eyeball was a
time.
little more attractive.
Yes.
Well, and here's another callback too, which I didn't notice this the first, I can't remember how long ago I had seen this movie when I first saw it. I know it was quite some time ago. More recently, I'd seen it probably about 6 years ago. It was before COVID. Um, but watching this again now, I was looking at Jess's boyfriend. Peter is the character's name, I believe. He looks very Ted Bundy. Does he
Yeah.
not look like? Which just, again, this is kind of all before.
I mean,
Oh,
without
well,
the
I guess,
with that was
yeah.
it? He had a
Hmm.
beard, I think it was, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, he changed his appearance quite a bit, and I would have to kind of get my red string out and do like a whole timeline board to remember exactly when it was, but he had been caught beforehand, and then he kept escaping. So I don't know if he was in the news at the time that this movie came out, or if just every guy in the 70s kind of looked like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at the beginning of this review, I said that I believe it was NBC was going to be showing this on their station, and decided, you know what, let's show something
Let's not.
else, like literally last
Uh,
minute. And they even
yeah.
changed the title for it. I forgot what it was called. It wasn't Silent Night, Evil Night. That was before. They changed it
Hmm.
like two or three times, and they changed it one more time for the broadcast on NBC, and decided, no, we're just gonna drop it because of the Ted Bundy murders.
Yeah, that Chi Omega killing spree that happened at the end of um, his tirade across the nation, which is, yeah, I just can't help but think, did he at some point watch this movie and decide to, you know, go out with that type of a situation? Crazy. All the more scarier, more lure to it.
I
Truth
don't
is
know.
stranger than fiction.
Reality imitates art. Art imitates
Mm-hmm.
reality. Who knows?
Yeah, frightening.
I don't think they ever asked him or about, did you watch Black Christmas when it first came out in Canada?
I looked so hard for some correlation. I could not find anything. There was a couple of articles I read that said, we surmise he must have seen it, but there's no proof or validation that he ever did.
Yeah, definitely. And the way this movie ends, I don't want to be too spoilery, but the way this movie ends, we don't know if the killer lived or died. If the killer could still be around. Ooh.
Yeah, I really, I don't know. I really liked the ending, just the pacing of this movie, how it just kept building up more and more. There, for me, there was a lot of slow moments when our first murdered girl's father shows up. It was a little slow. I feel like they peppered in some humor, but once it started moving, about midway through the movie until the end, it just kept building and building and building. Thought it would, the ending, I feel like it couldn't have been more perfect.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's with some movies they want to give you sort of a happy ending.
Yeah.
We got the killer. You saw who it was. But even with movies like Scream, you're like, we see the two killers. They admit they're the killer, and then out of nowhere, there's another killer dressed up as Ghostface, and it comes in. You're going, then who's the third
What?
person? Like, what in the world?
Mm-hmm.
It's like this just keeps cycling through, and in here it ends with, we don't know. It's like there's still voices in the attic. Also,
Right.
there's still bodies in the attic, and apparently the police are really terrible at their job searching. Like, it's
Yeah.
just because you have a plastic bag over your head doesn't mean your body's not going to start to smell. Okay?
Yeah. And we're a couple of days in. And
Yeah.
also, too, This is where it really got me with the bumbling cops. You have that moment where they're like search everywhere in the house, and you know that there's another girl missing, so you can count. I mean, and it's not a high number either. We're what, four? One,
Yeah.
two, three, not
Well,
including the little girl.
well, also don't forget about the den mother,
Oh, one, two, three, four.
McHenry.
Yeah, four.
She's like the
So
second kill. So
yeah, it's not like they are not aware that the first girl was missing. That was the, whole kickoff to what they were looking for in the first place and how the police got involved. So the fact that they didn't check the attic, like, okay,
the
that's
one
a real
place
miss.
now, yeah, the one place where you could hide a body.
Mm-hmm.
We're
Mm-hmm.
not gonna go up there because we're afraid of heights. I don't know.
Jay, no, I know what it is. They like you said there's no way that anybody could have. So it actually makes perfect sense that they never went up to check because they too couldn't fathom how a killer could get a body into the attic because it just doesn't make sense.
Well, the
This is
second
very
one, like
meta.
she was already in there, so she just needed a little bit more pull with that
Hmm.
hook. But she was
Yeah.
already up the stairs halfway, so
Hmm. Hmm. Well, yeah, that's right. They never even found the house mother then either. So
no,
yeah.
the
Well,
movie ends with just her like hanging on the hook and
yeah.
Claire staring out the window, and you're like,
Still
there's an officer standing in the front of the house, and if he just turned around and looked up, he'd be like, oh, there's the victim. How
blinded
did
by
we
those
not see
Christmas
that?
lights.
How did we not see that?
Well, I
Walking up
loved
the
too that shot. Did it not give Bates Motel Psycho moment too? Just kind of looking up and seeing this like silhouette of a dead woman. We know she's in a rocking chair up in the top window of an older house. I don't know. Great scenery in this movie for sure.
That's probably where the
But
director probably got that inspiration. Is very psycho-ish, you know.
yeah.
And what's making that
Hmm.
that rocking chair rock? That's my question.
Right, right. Well, Billy, I just felt like he's just up there pushing that rocking chair. That or, like a drafty, very drafty
It's
attic.
a very dramatic.
So I don't know if you, like most of America, question mark, maybe that's, just my family. But every year we also watch Christmas Story, and I had no idea that it was the same director, but until looking up fun facts for this movie, which I think is just hilarious that after making this, beautiful, frightening film, we turn around and we get such an amazing movie as The Christmas Story a few years later. But I couldn't help but think, and you can see it across the back of my screen here. He even used the same font, and some of the
Yeah.
scenery feels very similar. The house lit up with the leg lamp, as opposed to the house lit up and oh look, there's a dead girl up there staring out the window.
Careful, you'll
The
shoot your
opposite
eye
ends
out
of
with
the
that
spectrum.
thing.
Right? They'll shoot your eye out. Total opposite ends of the spectrum. So when our dear friend, John Witten asked about a sequel, he had, more stories to tell about Christmas, but it wasn't in the same genre apparently. I
Yeah.
just got such a kick out of that.
Yeah, it's an interesting little fact that if you didn't realize who actually directed this film, you'd be like, you go back and went, wait a second. Two Christmas
What?
films, one's family, and the other is, slasher horror. Um, and I don't even think around this time that, Bob Clark would even consider himself like, you know, I wouldn't say the father of modern day, slasher films. Like I said, he doesn't consider this film to be a slasher film. He considers it more of a psychological horror because
Right.
there are some scenes, like with the glass unicorn or anything else like that, with the hook, that can be considered, slasher trope,
Mm-hmm.
but not like later slashers where you see the whole thing, where you see the person get skewered by, a harpoon or two people in a sleeping bag getting smashed against a tree, or stuff we can see, and we can see the killer do it. In here, it's
Mm-hmm.
more of like psychologically, we know they're getting killed. We can hear them
Right.
screaming. We can hear things happening. We're
Mm-hmm.
filling in the blanks.
Right. I don't know. For many years, I've always attributed Jamie Lee Curtis as the original Final Girl. And you watch this movie and you're like, nope, take a step back. Um, does the chase a Final Girl make? You could argue that, right? Is it the fact that you're not technically fighting the criminal? She had a scene in there where she was get trying to get away. It was a lot more briefer than some of the others, but this feels like it. This movie feels like it deserves a lot more credit for what was to come in just a few years, which basically took over the entire '80s horror genre.
Oh yeah, even around this time, I don't think a lot of people considered a woman to fight back in general against someone bigger than her. Or you just somebody just trying to kill her, she'd just like fall over and die. Um, so for someone like Olivia Hussey, like everybody who knew who she was, at least from the Romeo and Juliet film, and I think wasn't that very long. I think it was when was it? She did a TV series. I'm trying to see where it was. Um, she played Mary, and what was it? Jesus of Nazareth.
Hmm.
It
That's a
was
big role
yeah,
for
it was.
Christmas.
Well, I mean,
That's
yeah, definitely. Well, she played. So the whole series goes throughout all of Jesus' life and everything. So she comes back later, but
that's lead actress, right?
yeah, close to it. Yeah, I mean, she's like one of the first people you see in the series.
Mm-hmm.
But for this role, like this is a completely different role than she's done before. She's never been a quote unquote at the time there was no such thing as a scream queen.
Mm-hmm.
We consider like Jamie Lee Curtis to be one of the original scream queens, and in here,
Mm-hmm.
I don't even think there was even anything coined at the time to be considered a scream queen.
No, Halloween gets most of the credit for kicking everything off. And, this is a moment where I think you really have to sit back and say, well, and especially too, if the little, anecdote about John Carpenter having the conversation with Clark about the sequel is true, then you have to really give this movie a lot of credit, for inspo for the movie that gets a lot of the fanfare around being the original slasher. Um, this movie feels so much. I like that the director said that he, was making more of a psychological thriller because it feels like there was a lot more energy put into the movie, the storyline, and everything than the slasher movies to come as well. There's, additional storylines going on. The dialogue is a lot deeper between characters. So I don't know. Very, very interesting, but it feels a lot more elevated than the early slashers.
Oh yeah, definitely. I want to get into like a few fun little facts from
Mm-hmm.
this film. So Olivia Hussey originally, if I remember correctly, she was a little hesitant in taking the role of the main quote unquote final girl.
Mm-hmm.
But she got some advice from apparently a psychic that said that this movie would be
Oh.
successful and that she should star in this movie. So she decided to go ahead with that. Said it would make a lot of money. No, it didn't make a lot of money. I mean, the budget wasn't great. It's even for 1974. The budget was 686,000. Box office 4 million. So it made its money back, even
Mm-hmm.
at the time from
Listen.
promotion. But it
Yeah.
wasn't like gangbusters. It didn't
Right.
do incredible. But uh, she did definitely star in a cult classic, in my opinion. That
Mm-hmm.
that a lot of
Oh yeah.
people, yeah, a lot of people today still know about. One of the actresses in here was originally supposed to be played by Gilda Radner, or comedian
Mm-hmm.
Gilda Radner, but she turned it down because she had a decision to make: either do this film or go on a new show, like a startup comedy show in New York called Saturday Night Live. It was like this basically sketch comedy show. Very few people know about it. I don't even know if it's still going on. It's Lorne Michaels is this young startup, comedian writer. No one really cares about him. I don't know if he's still doing his thing today. I don't know what he's doing. He might be still doing it.
Never heard of her.
Never heard of Saturday Night Live. I don't know. What would you call that shortening? Like SNL? I don't know.
I mean, can you imagine? I can see her in the house. Not the SNL character for sure, but I could picture her, the way she looks and everything fitting in with that sorority group. But what a career pivot, right? That would have changed everything.
Yeah, so. I guess she made the right decision because
the choices you make.
She's a legend now. Like she's considered a legend in SNL, like alum. Rest in peace. So let's see. I already went over the one actor. What was it? The Oscar-winning actor Edmund O'Brien. He originally was going to play the Lieutenant Fuller, and like I said, he had Alzheimer's. So that's one of the facts that I threw in earlier.
Did he go on to make any more movies? Do you know, or
I would have to look that up. I would have to look that up afterwards.
What was his name? Oscar?
Edmund O'Brien.
Oh, wow.
Brien. Oh, yeah.
A lot of American actors in this Canadian film.
Yeah.
He passed on my birthday in 1985. Because it's always about your birthday, right?
Yes.
I don't know why
I was born in 85, so...
Let's see here. Last movie. Boop-a-doop-doop-doop. He's got a star on that old Walk of Fame. Oh, my goodness. He was in The Hunchback of Notre Dame in 1939.
Mm-hmm.
Long, illustrious career here. Scrolling. No way. Apparently they used his last movie. Wait for it. Try to put this together. His last movie was in 2018.
Really?
They used scenes that were filmed in the 1970s in a movie called The Other Side of the Wind, in which he plays Pat. But he did make, it looks like, a short and another movie in 1974. And aside from that 2018 strange anomaly of using old film, it looks like 74 was the last year that he was working. So
wow. Yeah, and if he had taken that, if the director would have taken him on, that would have been probably his last role too. But we got John Saxon, who later become a legend.
Yeah, there's some horror alum for you.
Oh yeah, definitely. So we already went about the creepy phone calls that were done with one of the actors in there. Basically doing the sound effects upside down, like doing a handstand upside down. Was it actor Nick Mancuso? Anyway,
how tempted are you to stand on your head and try and talk just to see what it does to your voice now? Because I promise you that's what I'm doing immediately after we hang up here.
I don't know. All the blood goes to my head after that, and yeah.
Well, that's what makes it sound so creepy.
Maybe he's just exhausted. He just looks like, I'm trying to say words, but I'm going.
Well, it was so funny too because when I was watching this, kind of going back to some parts this last watch, and I heard his voice at one point. It took me a second because I hear, and you do the voice so much better than I do, but I hear this, And I'm like, wait a minute, is this Gremlins? No, no, he's standing on his head saying Billy.
Yeah, it's interesting little like tidbits you find either in commentary or online about films.
There was another actor that was pretty major that was supposed to be in this. The house mother was supposed to be played by Betty Davis.
Yes.
That would have been crazy. She's just such an enigma. I mean, she would have taken over the entire movie, I feel like, with her just larger than life personality that she projected.
And
Every
her
movie that I've
eyes.
ever
And her eyes. Betty
her Betty Davis
his
eyes.
eyes. There's a reason there's a song called Betty Davis Eyes.
Right.
Yeah, it would be really sad if they like and she died what was it in 89.
Did she?
So, yeah, at 81. So, I consider that a full life.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, that's Hollywood royalty for you right there.
Oh yeah, definitely. That would have been really interesting actually if she had started that role. It
Hmm.
would be very short lived, but you know,
Yeah. For sure.
considering what happens to the den mother.
Right.
What were your favorite like scenes in here? Like your favorite kills?
My favorite kill was probably the my favorite kill was probably the unicorn kill, which we've done a really good job at not giving away a series of spoilers on this one. So I kind of like just leaving it as the unicorn kill. I kind of don't want to say anything else about it. So someone really wants to watch this movie and find out what the hell the unicorn kill was. Um, but the way that that particular scene was shot was Kidder's screaming and the kind of subtlety of it, yet it felt very hostile in the acting. That scene was pretty terrifying, honestly. Um, I did read somewhere that she was actually extremely frightened of that scene of filming it
Mm-hmm.
because of the unicorn. Still trying to
Yeah,
talk in code. There's that new unicorn movie that came out not that long ago. I don't know if you saw it.
I saw it. I saw it.
Yeah,
It's a dark comedy.
exactly the same. Exactly the same kind of kill. But
Exactly.
I thought was really, I mean, for not showing, a lot of graphic violence, it still came across really violent.
Oh yeah, it
How
most
about
definitely
you?
did. I still go back to I still go back to the hook kill. Um, because like I said, you don't see it happen. You see these sort of after effects, and then you see Den Mother's feet kind of wiggle and being pulled up into the attic. And you hear all of these screaming, you hear all these squishing around, and you know what's happening because the hook has got into her. So like it's got it right under her neck and the area and everything, and she's suffering. So I think that's one of the more probably like next to the unicorn, one of the more visceral kills that you see actually get to kind of see. You get to see it from the killer's perspective. He's holding that hook, like he sees her,
Uh,
like she's just
this is
turned
good.
around. She just turned around. She's right there.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
She
mm-hmm.
ends up turning around after seeing finding Claire's body,
Yeah,
but that's when she gets hooked.
that drunk house mother was more on it than the cops. That's the moral
Yeah,
of this story.
the most horrible.
That or she was looking for booze.
Maybe we'll call him A, we'll call him B. I was watching the film and I was like, was Margot Kidder drunk through this whole shoot? I don't know. Probably. Knowing her
Wow.
history, rest in peace, but knowing her history, she probably was.
Oh, really? Did she
Yeah.
was she a let loose on the stage kind of gal?
She was, yeah, she could,
I'll be looking that up.
if I remember correctly, yeah, and I think I forgot something later on in her life. I think it wasn't just alcohol. I think it was some other like mental issues she had. I would have to look that up, but yeah, I believe she, if I remember correctly, she was an alcoholic. So it wasn't just she was drinking at the party in the movie. He was probably actually drinking on set. Get
She's
the
like, let me
realism.
get into character.
Let's get into
Yeah.
character. He's just like, we're not shooting right now. I'm still in character.
We're just going over our lines.
Yes.
Yeah, I will tell you my favorite parts of this movie, honestly, are the scariest parts of this movie to me, which are not Unicorn Kill or any of the others. To me, it's that eyeball scene. I could keep going back to it, but there is so much acting portrayed in such a strange, you can see that guy behind the other side of that wall was projecting enough that that was one of the more frightening scenes for me. And then frankly, that first phone call, it's so ridiculously obscene, and it kind of unexpected. You feel like, oh, you're going to get an obscene phone call in a movie. You're going to, get a couple. They had to do some, unique fast forwarding because I was watching this at my house during the holidays. Um, Not one for the kids. Not one for the kids, I'll say.
Oh yeah.
Both of those pieces of the movie were, there's a level of derangement from this killer that's conveyed in those moments that uh, I think makes the idea of this person being in this house so frightening.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, when you don't realize that the very thing you're afraid of, you're living with it. It's just right above you. It's like, oh, especially with the end of this film, like we consider that Jess to be the quote unquote final girl, but is she gonna be like the final kill? Because even though at the end we see an officer standing outside the house, he's just standing outside the house. There's something still in the attic because there's still voices going on. There's still something going on in the attic. Also, there's still bodies in the attic, but we'll leave those
You've
alone.
you've got a guy standing out front at this point thinking job well done,
Yeah.
because secondary storyline, they think they got him. um we had a guy earlier sitting out in front that was supposed to be paying attention and on watch, and that guy didn't fare too well. So I'm assuming guy that's thinking he's wrapping up for the night is going to be a very little support to Jess as she's trying to recover from everything that happened.
Oh yeah, she's
And
like
take
not
her to the
completely knocked out.
hospital, man.
She's like, yeah, she's completely not. Yeah, don't let her go sleep at home.
Yeah,
Yeah.
put her in an ambulance. Even if you are fine and you did resolve the killer in the house issue, just psychological trauma of waking up by yourself in that house, I'm sure, is probably not good for anyone. Get the girl in an ambulance. Ah, Canada.
So I'm reading one of the facts in here about the
Mm-hmm.
backstory for the killer. It says Clark was determined to keep the killer's identity mysterious throughout Black Christmas. So other than the name Billy and Agnes, we know very little about who he is or why he kills. That doesn't mean no information exists, though. According to Clark, he developed a very strong backstory for Billy that provides a subtle logic to the phone calls. Okay, so listen to this because it might sound familiar.
Okay.
Billy is abusive and abused his little sister and was abused himself and probably killed his parents and probably locked her up in a basement for 5 or 6 years, Clark said. And I think she escaped and Billy doesn't like girls and it turns out Agnes doesn't like boys. A version of this backstory was explored in greater detail in the film's 2006 remake. So does that sound a little bit of like Halloween? I don't know.
Actually, yeah. Now, wow. Yeah. I wonder if he ever shared that backstory in detail. It's child, very young, has an issue with his sister, kills his parent. Yeah, I didn't put that together when I was reading through some of the commentary, but
It's interesting too because, like you said,
John.
they were talking to each other. So he might have gone,
Hmm.
I had this whole backstory. I never really got to explore it when I made the film or when I
Hmm.
writing the script, and they started in production. But this is what I wanted for the killer originally, and then maybe
Hmm.
Carpenter was like, "Huh, maybe I can
Thanks.
incorporate some of that stuff into my movie that I'm going to be
Hmm.
making 4 years
Well,
later."
I do have to say it goes, they say that you should always do these types of exercises in film or in writing, any kind of creative story that you're trying to tell, have a deeper backstory. You don't have to give it all away, but have a deeper backstory. And I'd say that it, that probably helped this film out a lot. It's probably why when you get these very minimal moments with this particular killer, it comes across really scary. That it's just not okay. Hey, go stand over there, and you're going to look terrifying because you're crazy. But trying to kind of get into that mindset of whatever that storyline was, maybe it's what made it so terrifying.
Oh yeah, it messes with you psychologically, which is exactly what the
Hmm.
director was trying to do.
Yeah,
So we're getting close to the end of our review and our discussion. What would you rate this film? And then I'll give my rating.
yeah. I am going to give this film. I'm going to give this film a 7.8. I want to give this film an 8, but I also at the same time feel like it's maybe, a little less strong than that. Semantics. It's a fantastic film, and it probably deserves the 8 based on everything that we've talked about. How, it's the inspiration and probably the original um, slasher pick, whether Mr. Clark wants to take that honor or not. Um, I just feel like this movie did so much without having to be in your face about it. There was just so much kind of happening that wasn't seen that made it much more scary. When I think about some of the scariest movies that I've seen in my day, this one, watching it when I was younger, had the same feel to me as watching The Shining, which for a long time was what I would describe as the scariest movie I ever saw. Um, it it's just very creepy and very unsettling. Totally different type of movie, much more realistic. But it feels very unsettling, and it's very well done, especially for the time frame that it came out. It gave us a lot of those notions, as you mentioned, that we are so familiar with now, but weren't when this movie came out. So yeah, I would give it super high 7 mark as my unofficial rating. Almost an 8.
Fantastic. Yeah, I basically mirror your sentiment of like the film. I personally would give this 7 out of 10 myself, as well. I already had my rating in mind, so to hear you say, well, it was like a 7.8. I give this movie a 7. I think it's
Yeah.
a product of its time, especially with hairstyles. Oh my goodness, you see
Yeah.
one of the first scene, guy huge afro. Like, yeah,
Mm.
it's the
Mm.
70s. It's the early 70s too.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, and as far as like horror and slasher movies go, this is one of the earlier and maybe quote unquote progenitor of like modern day slasher films. It has all those tropes that you can throw out and go like, "Oh, I know exactly what's going to happen next," or that and that's going to happen because we've seen it so happen so many times. But it didn't happen before this film.
Right.
And a lot of people talked about it earlier. We said that a lot of people placed it on Halloween as being the father of like modern day slasher horror films, and then we have to look back at this film and go, wait a minute, this is even 4 years earlier, and as being sort of an inspiration that even John Carpenter admitted to be
Right.
inspired by Black Christmas, almost as a quote unquote sequel, you
Mhm.
know, to Black Christmas. uh, we we see a whole different picture of like where this stands in horror lore and horror legend, as far as films are concerned. And it's interesting to find out that this happened before all those others, and they are taking from what this film gave us, and now we know all the quote unquote horror tropes that they will constantly repeat over and over again, which like I said earlier, Scream gave us that that reference to
Right.
things you shouldn't do, things you should do, things that don't be stupid, don't have sex, la 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 la,
And I'm wondering, it's the first that I know of, but we have, as we've lovingly talked about and reviewed some of, a lot of Christmas inspired horror movies. But is this the first horror movie that's set during the holiday season? I can't
Let's
think of.
see. We did. Let's see. What we did. We did Krampus. We did. We did Gremlins. That's literally set in the holiday season.
Right, but is this the first as far as being made?
Oh
There's
yeah.
Silent Night, Deadly Night, which is such a great horror movie.
I think that was after this. I think
Oh
Silent Night,
yeah, it
Deadly Night was
definitely
after
was.
this. Yeah,
That was
which
early
is
'80s.
which is funny because one of the original titles that they were thinking of making this was because Black Christmas would
Yeah.
have made people think it's a black exploitation film, and it's
Hmm.
not. So they were like, let's call it temporarily Silent Night, Evil Night. In fact, the movie starts off with sort of a choir singing Silent Night at the beginning of this film,
Yeah.
and so yeah.
Yeah. I maybe another originator for this movie too. I feel like now I've got to start going back and combing to see if I can find some of these things in an even earlier movie. But
Yeah, see if they
I think you
connect
really nailed it.
somehow. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's really interesting seeing a film this early back, it being the example to so many other films films, television shows, just tropes in general going forward. And the director should be really I don't know if he's still alive. No, he's died. The director, at the time should be proud that he was early
Originator.
on originator
Yeah.
of all this that is even today's horror films that would
Right.
follow along on it. Same line.
The
So
call is
yeah,
coming from in the house.
the call is calling from the house. All right, that is our review and our discussion about the 1974 film Black Christmas. If you haven't seen this film, it is available right now on Amazon Prime.
Shudder.
Yes, Shudder or Amazon Prime for free if you have Prime, and if you have Shudder, you can get it as well.
Mm-hmm.
It is a classic, and you definitely won't be disappointed with this film. And so you gave it a 7.8. I gave it a 7 out of 10. I think those are decent scores for a film like this.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
they're great. I
Yeah.
feel like if I watch this again in another 5 years, it seems to be my track, I might give it an 8. You never know.
Oh, yeah.
This movie's definitely grown on me for sure over the years. So
Well, thank you, LC, for coming on the show and reviewing Black Christmas with me. Be sure, for all of you listening or watching online, be sure to check out all my socials at Nerd Corner. All of them are at Nerd Corner. So, X, Instagram, Facebook, everything else, even Kick. All right. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you, LC, for being on tonight.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, and remember to enjoy your chimichanga. And don't take any strange calls in the house.